It's time to start telling our own stories. I'm Steve Kellums, and welcome to Blue Canary. Leadership. The Oxford English Dictionary defines leadership as the action of leading a group of people or an organization, the state or position of being a leader. Got it. That's a simple one. Next important lesson, please. Not so fast. Leadership has to be one of the most vexing skills to learn in our profession. First of all, it's critically important. It's important for the officer working the beat who must deal with the public every day. They must lead on scenes and at calls for service. They must show leadership for the community and the people they serve. It's important for the line supervisor. They must show leadership to not only the same public as the officer, but also to the officers themselves, as well as peers and members of other government agencies. It's important to the administrators, whose management positions can at times exacerbate the divide between working officer and the organization, whose goals should be aligned, but rarely are. And of course, it's important to the police leaders, who by their very title should be experts in a field that, quite frankly, you can't be an expert in. But Steve, you say, I know a lot of expert leaders, masters of the craft. Bullshit. They're faking it. Let's just focus on the definition of leadership. I mean, that is the easiest part of the entire skill. Once we have a good definition, we can build on that, and learning shouldn't be a challenge. I give you the definition from the Oxford English Dictionary I started with. The action of leading a group of people or an organization, the state or position of being a leader. But researchers and scholars on leadership quickly disagree. Let's look at three of the big names in leadership. Peter Drucker was an Austrian-American management consultant, educator, and author whose writings contributed to the philosophical and practical foundations of modern management theory. He was also a leader in the development of management education and invented the concepts known as management by objectives and self-control, and he has been described as the founder of modern management. This was his take on leadership. The only definition of a leader is someone who has followers. Warren Bennis was an American scholar, organizational consultant, and author, widely regarded as a pioneer in the contemporary field of leadership studies. Bennis was university professor and distinguished professor of business administration and founding chairman of the Leadership Institute at the University of Southern California. He defined leadership by saying, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. John Maxwell is an American author, speaker, and pastor who has written many books, primarily focusing on leadership. Titles include The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. He is a New York Times best-selling author and considered an expert in leadership. His definition of leadership, once again, different. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Three experts, three different definitions. How's a young cop, corrections officer, or dispatcher supposed to figure this out? When the giants of the field can't come to an agreement, then how can we learn leadership? In the 1964 U.S. Supreme Court case, Jacobellis v. Ohio, the court attempted to define obscenity. Justice Potter Stewart historically stated his threshold for obscenity was, I know it when I see it. That's leadership to me. I know it when I see it. But that's not going to get the job done. Just because I can recognize good leadership and bad leadership when I see it doesn't help all of you out there who want to learn to be leaders. And God knows we need good leaders in law enforcement right now. At a time when we are facing a historic war on cops, when the defund police movement has infiltrated every level of the criminal justice system, and when our politicians refuse to fix the problems or are incapable of recognizing those problems, someone has to step up and take the lead. Someone has to be a leader. On this season of Blue Canary, we are going to focus on leadership. We're going to talk about what it means to be a leader, how to learn leadership skills, and why leadership is abnormal behavior. I'm going to talk about my personal leadership journey, as well as interview chiefs and sheriffs about their leadership journeys and struggles. We'll also hear from leadership experts about the challenges modern police leaders face. Finally, we'll mix in a few of our listeners' favorite topics just for fun. Our first episode of the season will drop on June 5th, so make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss anything, because this is the story we have to tell. Thank you for joining. As always, I'm curious what questions you're getting asked. What isn't the news covering? What story needs to be told? Connect with me at bluecanarypodcast@gmail.com.